Have you ever prayed for a great blessing only to find your life descending into chaos? Have you asked for abundance and then watched as your security vanished? Have you yearned for love and then found yourself in a season of profound solitude? In these moments, it is easy to believe that your prayers have gone unanswered, that you have been forgotten, abandoned. But I am here to tell you the truth. You have not been abandoned. You are being prepared. The divine does not place a great treasure into hands that are not yet ready to hold it. The chaos, the solitude, the closing doors, these are not punishments. They are the process of refinement. They are the signs. Give me your attention, and I will show you how to decode the events of your life and recognize the hand of God preparing you for what is already yours. I stand before you this evening to speak of a language that is not taught in any school, a language that is not written in any book, yet it is the most profound and intimate language you will ever know. It is the language of your own consciousness, the language of God speaking to you through the tapestry of your life. You have been taught to look for signs in the heavens, for thunderous announcements of great change. But I tell you, the Creator, which is your own wonderful human imagination, does not shout. It whispers. It communicates not through spectacle, but through subtle shifts in the very fabric of your being and the circumstances of your world. There comes a time in every man's journey when a great change is imminent, when a desire long held in the heart is preparing to step forth into the world of Caesar. Before this divine birth, this manifestation, there is always a period of preparation. The world you know must be rearranged to make room for the new reality. And this rearrangement is heralded by signs. Tonight, we are here to learn how to read these signs. We will decode the sacred signals that announce a coming breakthrough. You will learn to see the closing doors, not as rejection, but as divine redirection. You will come to understand the periods of solitude not as loneliness, but as a holy consecration. You will learn to trust the deep inner stirring, the knowing without evidence, as the only proof you will ever need. For when God, your own awareness, is preparing to bless you with something greater than you have ever known, He first prepares you to receive it. Let us now explore this sacred process of transformation. We have begun our journey into the sacred language of God, the silent communication between your deeper self and the world of shadows you call reality. I have told you that before any great change manifests in your life, your own consciousness will send you signs heralding the coming breakthrough. We must now learn to read the first and most important of these signs. It is the most subtle, the most easily dismissed, and yet it is the very genesis of all creation. Before the world moves, before a single door closes, before any trial appears, the great work begins within you. In the silent temple of your own awareness, the first herald does not arrive with a trumpet's blast. It does not write its message in the sky. It comes as a whisper. It comes as a quiet, causeless, and profound inner stirring. This is the first word in the divine language. And to learn to recognize and trust this whisper is to hold the key to the entire kingdom. What is this inner stirring? How do you know it when it comes? It is not a violent emotion like excitement or a frantic desire. It is far more subtle, more profound. It is a fundamental shift in the very atmosphere of your mind. It is, as the scripture of your own experience tells you, a knowing without evidence. Imagine yourself on a still, dry day in late winter. The trees are bare, the ground is hard, and yet, for no reason at all, you can suddenly smell the coming of a spring rain in the air. There are no clouds. The weatherman has predicted none. But you know, there is a change in the pressure, a shift in the scent of the air. It is an undeniable, yet completely unprovable sense of expectation. This is the nature of the inner stirring. Your soul, which has perhaps been sleeping through a long winter of limitation, begins to awaken. You will go about your day. and the world of Caesar will present you with the same old facts. The bank balance has not changed. The body still feels the same ache. The silence from the one you desire is still present. And yet, something has changed. Your perception of these facts has begun to change. Where once you felt despair, a quiet, causeless optimism now resides. Where once there was resignation, an unusual sense of anticipation now bubbles just beneath the surface. You cannot explain it. If a friend were to ask you, "Why do you feel so hopeful?" you would have no logical answer. "I just do," is all you could say. This is the first light of a new dawn appearing on the horizon of your consciousness long before the sun itself is visible. It is the first faint green shoot pushing its way through the hard soil. It is the most authentic and powerful sign of all, for it is a direct signal from the one and only creative power, your own I am, that a new state has been successfully impressed upon the subconscious, and its birth into the world of form is now inevitable. Where does this inexplicable feeling come from? The unawakened man dismisses it as wishful thinking, as idle fantasy. He is a worshipper of Caesar, and he does not believe in any reality that his senses cannot confirm. But you, who are awakening, must understand its divine origin. This inner stirring is the first echo of a desire that has been accepted as a present fact in the deeper realms of your being. A desire is not a mere whim of the personality. Every deep and persistent desire is God Himself speaking to you. It is the Creator, your own awareness, presenting you with a gift, a potential reality that is finished and waiting for you to claim it. The desire is the promise. It is a glimpse into a state of being that already exists in the vast storehouse of creation. When you, in a moment of unguarded imagination, perhaps in a daydream, or in the drowsy state before sleep, truly feel what it would be like to have your desire fulfilled. When you, for a single, powerful moment, assume the state of your wish fulfilled, and it feels real to you, in that moment, you have performed the one and only creative act. You have planted a seed. You have impressed the subconscious mind. The inner stirring is the first sign of life from that seed. It is the subconscious mind, the fertile womb of God, whispering back to the conscious mind, the message has been received. The work has begun. The child is conceived. This is why the feeling is so causeless and yet so certain. It does not depend on outer facts because it is not born of them. It is born of a spiritual, imaginal act. It is the first vibration of a new reality that is now moving from the unseen into the seen. To feel this stirring is to have received the confirmation that your prayer has already been answered in the only realm that matters, the realm of your own consciousness. The moment this sacred inner herald makes its presence felt, a great war begins within you. It is the timeless battle between faith and doubt, between the new man and the old man, between the evidence of the spirit and the evidence of the senses. The inner stirring whispers a single powerful truth. Something wonderful is happening. And immediately, the legion of your conditioned mind, the army of doubt that serves the world of Caesar, rises up to attack it. Your reason will be the general of this army. It will demand, based on what evidence? Show me the proof. This is illogical. Look at the facts. Your bank account is still empty. You are still alone. Nothing has changed. You are deceiving yourself. Your memory will be its loyal soldier, bringing forth a parade of all your past failures. It will remind you, remember the last time you were hopeful, you were disappointed. Remember all the other times you tried and failed. This will be no different. Your senses will be its spies, constantly bringing back reports from the outer world that contradict your inner knowing. They will point to every closed door, every unanswered call, every persistent problem as proof that your inner feeling is a lie. This inner conflict is not a sign that you are doing something wrong. It is a sign that you are doing something right. It is a necessary test. The very purpose of the inner stirring, this first herald, is to give you a secret to hold, an anchor to cling to. While the storms of doubt rage, your work is not to fight the army of doubt. To fight it is to give it your attention and your power. Your work is to become profoundly and stubbornly indifferent to it. You must learn to trust the inner feeling more than you trust the outer facts. You must allow your reason, your memory, and your senses to scream their protest, and you simply, quietly, and persistently return your attention to the calm, causeless assurance within you. You must say to the legion of doubt, "Your report on the world of shadows is noted, but I am now living by a higher law. When this divine herald graces you with its presence, you have a sacred duty. You must protect it. You must nurture it. The first faint stirring of a new reality is incredibly potent, but it is also delicate. How you respond to it will determine the speed and ease of its eventual birth. The first and most important discipline is this: do not speak of it. Do not run to your friends and neighbors seeking their confirmation or validation. The moment you expose your subtle inner knowing to the harsh, logical world of others, you subject it to their doubts. They will, out of love or concern, remind you of all the reasons why your feeling is illogical. They will unintentionally join the army of your own reason and attack your newborn assumption. Your desire, once assumed, must be nurtured in secret. This is the great lesson of the parable of Elizabeth, who hid herself. You must create a sacred space within you, a silent room where your new reality can grow strong without the interference of the world's disbelief. The second discipline is to not question the feeling. When the wave of quiet assurance washes over you, do not dissect it. Do not demand to know how or when or why. To analyze a mystical experience with the crude tools of logic is to destroy it. Simply accept it as a gift. Receive it with gratitude. Acknowledge its presence and let it be. Treat this feeling as a sacred guest in the house of your mind. You do not interrogate a holy man. You simply sit in his presence and absorb his peace. The third discipline is to return to the feeling. Throughout your day, the world of Caesar will pull at your attention. Doubts and old states will try to reclaim their territory. Your only work in these moments is to gently, without struggle, remember and return to that initial feeling of expectation. It is your North Star. No matter how lost you feel in the fog of daily life, you can always look within and find that quiet knowing, and it will reorient you. It is your anchor in the storm. And finally, you must give thanks for the feeling as if it were the finished reality. Gratitude is the great multiplier. When you feel that inner stirring and you say, "Thank you, Father, that it is done," you are amplifying its creative power. You are aligning yourself completely with the reality of the wish fulfilled. You are not thanking for a future event. You are giving thanks for a present reality that you have perceived on the inner plane. It is essential to understand the divine logic, the perfect timing of this process. Why does this peaceful inner herald come first? Why are you given this quiet assurance before the world begins to change? You are given this inner certainty as an anchor because your boat is about to be rocked. The inner stirring is the calm before the necessary storm. It is the deep, peaceful breath before the plunge. The successful assumption of a new state of being is a declaration of war on your old reality. You have in consciousness declared yourself to be a new man, and now the world must rearrange itself to conform to your new identity. This rearrangement is not always gentle. As we shall explore in our next chapter, it involves the closing of doors, the departure of people, and the crumbling of old structures. It can feel, to the uninitiated, like chaos and loss. The inner stirring is given to you as a secret promise, a source of strength that you must hold on to while this outer reconstruction takes place. When a door slams shut in your face, when a friend walks away, when your old security vanishes, you are not to fall into despair. You are to remember the whisper. You are to remember that first causeless knowing and understand that these outer events are not signs of failure, but the inevitable and necessary consequences of the inner change you have initiated. The herald comes first to prepare you. It is an act of divine grace. It is the universe telling you, hold fast. Do not be afraid of what is about to happen. The world you know is being dismantled, so that the world you have imagined can be born. Therefore, if you have felt this herald, if you have experienced this quiet, inexplicable sense of expectation, do not dismiss it. Cherish it. It is the most real thing in your world. It is the announcement that you have successfully planted your seed in the womb of God. And now you must prepare yourself, for the old world must pass away to make room for the new. The divine reconstruction is about to begin. We have learned to recognize the first and most subtle of the divine heralds, that quiet, causeless inner stirring, that secret sense of expectation, that knowing without evidence, which is the first whisper of a promise fulfilled within your own consciousness. You were given this inner assurance as an anchor, a secret to hold fast to. And now you will understand why that anchor is so vital. For the moment your inner world shifts, the moment you successfully assume a new and higher state of being, that inner peace becomes a declaration of war on your old reality. Your new assumption is a new vibration, a new song. And the world you have heretofore known, built upon the foundation of your old self, cannot harmonize with this new song. A dissonance is created, and so an outer quake must follow the inner shift. The second herald now makes its appearance, not as a whisper, but as the sound of a door slamming shut. We now enter the profound and often misunderstood mystery of divine reconstruction. Once the inner shift has taken place, you will begin to notice a strange and often alarming phenomenon in the world of Caesar. Things that were once stable will begin to dissolve. Paths that were once open will become blocked. The unawakened man sees this as failure, as loss, as the universe turning against him. But you, who are learning the divine language, must see it for what it is. The master builder clearing the ground for a new temple. This clearing takes many forms. The most common is the loss of opportunity. A job you were certain was yours is suddenly given to another. A business venture that seemed promising collapses overnight. A source of income you have relied upon for years suddenly dries up. The reasoning mind panics, crying out, I am moving backwards. I am losing ground. But I tell you, you are not losing ground. You are being lifted from a battlefield where you were destined to lose. That job, that venture, that income, they were destinations on a map that led to a lesser version of your dream. Your deeper self, the God within you, in its infinite wisdom, knows that these paths are dead ends. They are too small for the person you have assumed yourself to be. And so, in an act of profound love, it closes them. It blocks them. It forces you onto a higher road. What seems like rejection is in truth divine protection. Another form this takes is the departure of people. This can be the most painful part of the reconstruction. Friendships that have lasted for years may suddenly grow cold and distant. Relationships you believed were your foundation may crumble. People you once looked to for support may now seem to speak a different language, unable to understand the change that is taking place within you. You must not see this as personal. Understand this law: everyone is you pushed out. The people in your life are messengers, actors playing the roles you have assigned them through your own state of consciousness. As you move into a new, higher state, those individuals whose own states cannot harmonize with yours, or who represent the very limitations you are leaving behind, must drift away. Their departure is not a rejection of you. It is a vibrational necessity. Their role in your divine play has come to an end. It is a sign that you have truly changed internally. Finally, you will witness the crumbling of your old securities. The safety nets you have carefully constructed may begin to tear. This is because you are being taught a vital lesson. Your true security lies not in any person, place, or condition in Caesar's world. Your one and only security is your own consciousness, your I am. You are being forced to let go of the branches of the world so that you may discover that you have wings. Why is this process so frightening? Why does our heart ache when a door closes, when a person leaves? It is because the unawakened mind, the ego, identifies itself with these outer things. Your ego has built its identity upon your job title, your relationship status, your bank account, your circle of friends. These are the pillars of its small kingdom. It looks in the mirror of the world and says, "That is me." So when the divine reconstruction begins, when the master builder starts to tear down these old pillars, the ego panics. It feels like it is dying, and in a very real sense it is. The old man, the limited conception of self that you have carried for so long, must die for the new man, the fulfilled desire to be born. This is the snake shedding its old skin. The process is necessary for growth, but it is uncomfortable. The old skin is tight, restrictive, but it is also familiar. To shed it is to expose a new, tender layer to the world. It is a moment of profound vulnerability. The unawakened mind clings to the familiar, even if the familiar is a state of lack. It prefers the certainty of a known misery to the uncertainty of a promised joy. And so, it will grieve the closing doors. It will mourn the departing friends. It will cry out in fear as the old securities crumble. Your work as the awakening creator is to be the compassionate observer of this process. You do not condemn the fear of the ego. You understand it, but you do not identify with it. You stand apart, anchored in the quiet knowing of that first inner stirring, and you remind yourself, this is not destruction, this is reconstruction. A greater reality is being born, and this is the necessary process. The great teacher told a parable to explain this very mystery. He said, "I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes away. And every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes, that it may bear more fruit." This is a magnificent parable of divine reconstruction. The vine dresser is your own deeper self, the God within, the I am. The vine is your life, the totality of your consciousness. The branches are the people, the jobs, the habits, the beliefs that are currently a part of your reality. Now, notice there are two actions. The branches that bear no fruit, those things in your life that are completely dead, that offer no joy, no growth, he takes away. These are the effortless departures, the things you are almost relieved to see go. But then there is the second action, the more profound and often more painful one. The branch that does bear fruit, the one that seems good and productive, he prunes. Why would the vine dresser cut a seemingly healthy branch? So that it may bear more fruit. The pruning is the closing of the good door to make way for the best door. It is the end of the good relationship to make way for the divine relationship. It is the loss of the sufficient income to make way for true abundance. The pruning hurts. It feels like a loss. When a branch is cut, the vine is wounded for a time. But the vine dresser, in his infinite wisdom, knows that this cutting is an act of love. He is channeling the life force of the vine away from a lesser expression and concentrating it for a greater harvest. The closing doors in your life are this divine pruning. Your I am is lovingly cutting away the good enough to make room for the glorious. It is removing what no longer aligns with your highest good, so that you may blossom into the fullness of the state you have assumed. Knowing this, What is the correct response when the divine demolition begins in your life? How are you to act when the pruning knife cuts deep? Your behavior in this phase is critical. First, and most importantly, do not resist. Do not cling to that which is leaving. If a person is walking out of your life, let them go. If a job is ending, do not desperately grasp for it. To resist the closing door is to fight against the answer to your own prayer. It is to argue with the master builder, to tell him you prefer the old, rotting structure to the new temple he intends to build. Resistance only prolongs the process and intensifies the pain. Second, do not despair. In the moment of loss, your senses will scream that your world is ending. It is in this exact moment that you must turn from your senses and return to your anchor, the memory of that first quiet inner stirring. That feeling was your promise. That was the herald of the dawn. The darkness you are now experiencing is simply the deepest part of the night, just before that dawn breaks. Hold fast to your unseen reality. Third, you must learn to bless and release. This is a profoundly powerful act of faith. When a door slams shut, instead of cursing it, you must find it in your heart to say, thank you. You are thanking your deeper self for protecting you from a lesser path. You are affirming your trust in the divine plan. Bless the person who is leaving your life. Silently thank them for the role they have played and release them with love. This act of blessing dissolves all bitterness and aligns you with the creative forces of love. And finally, remain still. This is not the time to rush into frantic new action, trying to patch the holes in your sinking ship. The ship is meant to sink. Let it go. This is a time for quiet observation, for trust, and for faith. Your only action in this phase is the inner action of remaining loyal to your assumption. This stillness, this refusal to panic, is the very act that prepares you for the next sign, which is the sacred consecration of solitude, the divine reconstruction. The closing of the doors will leave you in a new and unfamiliar landscape. It will create an empty space in your life. Where there was once a job, there is now a void. Where there was once a relationship, there is now silence. The unawakened mind abhors this emptiness. It sees it as lack, as a vacuum that must be filled immediately with any distraction or lesser opportunity that comes along. But you must see this empty space for what it is, holy ground. It is not a void. It is a cleared foundation. It has been meticulously and lovingly prepared for the new structure that is to be built. Nature abhors a vacuum, and this spiritual vacuum you now find yourself in is a powerful magnet for your new reality. But you must not rush to fill it with the debris of your old fears and habits. This empty space is an invitation. It is the prelude to the next great herald, the sign of solitude. The demolition is over. The ground is now clear. And before the new building begins, the Creator must enter a period of quiet contemplation upon this cleared ground. He must consecrate it. Therefore, when the doors of your past have finally and firmly closed, do not immediately rush to find a new one. Stand still, breathe, feel the strange and potent newness of the empty space around you. For you are now standing on the construction site of your future, and it is in the quiet of this cleared ground that you will be consecrated, strengthened, and made ready for the magnificent structure that is about to be erected in the image and likeness of the desire you have claimed. We have journeyed through the unsettling but necessary phase of divine reconstruction. We have learned to bless the closing doors and release the departing figures, understanding that this is not an act of loss, but the loving hand of God, your own consciousness, clearing the ground for a greater temple. The demolition is now complete. The noise has subsided. The dust has settled. And you may now find yourself standing in a great and potent silence. The space once occupied by a familiar job, a defining relationship, a comfortable security is now empty. And in this emptiness, the third divine herald makes its appearance. It comes not as a stirring, nor as a slam, but as a profound and all-encompassing solitude. This is perhaps the most misunderstood of all the signs. The unawakened mind, the ego, fears this silence. It equates solitude with loneliness, and it sees this empty space as proof of abandonment. It cries out, "I am all alone." But you, who are awakening to the divine language, must learn to see the truth. This is not abandonment. This is consecration. You have not been cast out. You have been called in. You have been brought into the Holy of Holies, the sacred space where the Creator confers with Himself before a great work is to be done. Before we can explore the purpose of this sacred space, we must first draw a sharp and definite line between two states that the world constantly confuses: loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is the state of the unawakened man. It is a state of lack. It is the painful awareness of separation from a person, a place, or a thing that you believe you need in order to feel whole. Loneliness is the ego's cry for a reflection. It is the desperate search for validation in the world of Caesar. The lonely man is in a state of constant wanting, constantly looking outside of himself for completion. It is a state of profound poverty and powerlessness. Solitude, on the other hand, is the state of the awakening Creator. It is a state of fullness. It is not an absence, but a presence. It is the deliberate and conscious withdrawal of attention from the world of distraction in order to commune with the one and only reality, your own I am. The lonely man feels he is away from everyone. The man in solitude knows he is with the one who is the Father of everyone. Loneliness is a feeling of being empty. Solitude is the feeling of being filled from an inner source. The world will tell you that to be alone is to be weak. But I tell you, to be able to stand in this conscious solitude is the highest form of strength. It is a declaration that your security, your joy, and your sense of self are no longer dependent on the flickering shadows of the outer world. You have found the rock, the foundation, within yourself. When this herald of solitude arrives in your life, you must not interpret it through the old dictionary of fear. You must understand that you have been granted a divine appointment. You have been given the gift of a silent sanctuary. Why is this period of solitude, this consecration, a necessary step in the creative process? It serves a threefold divine purpose. First, it is to silence the world. You have lived your entire life immersed in the collective hypnosis of Caesar's world. You have been conditioned to believe in lack, in limitation, in the primacy of facts over faith. To build a new reality, you must first detoxify your mind from the poison of this old conversation. This period of solitude is a spiritual quarantine. It separates you from the voices of doubt, both from others and from your own conditioned mind, so that the voice of your new assumption can become the only voice you hear. Second, it is to strengthen the new assumption. Your new reality, the desire you have conceived in imagination, is like a tender seedling. If you were to plant it in the middle of a raging storm, it would be torn from the earth. It must first be nurtured in a greenhouse, protected from the harsh winds of external disbelief. Your solitude is this greenhouse. It is the sacred womb, the secret place where your new identity can grow strong, where its roots can go deep, unthreatened by the contradictory evidence of the senses. This is the mystery behind the parable of Elizabeth, who hid herself for 5 months. She was protecting her divine conception from the skepticism of the world until it was strong enough to be born. And third, it is to refine your hearing. In the constant noise and distraction of daily life, it is almost impossible to hear the still small voice of your intuition, which is the voice of God guiding you. The solitude turns down the volume of the world so you can finally hear the whispers of your deeper self. It is in this silence that you receive your marching orders. It is here that you will feel the inspired urges, the intuitive nudges that will form the natural bridge of incidents to your fulfilled desire. You are being quieted so you can hear the divine direction. But do not believe that this wilderness of solitude is always a place of serene peace. It is also the place of the great test. The scriptures tell us that the awakened imagination, Jesus, was led by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted. This is a psychological drama that you will inevitably experience. Once you have been separated from your old world, your old patterns of thought, personified as the devil or the tempter, will come to challenge your new state. The first temptation is to turn stones into bread. The tempter, your own reasoning mind, will say, if you are truly the creator, then prove it. Use your power to satisfy your immediate physical needs. Look at the stones of your hardship and command them to become the bread of your security. Now, this is the temptation, to use the law for frantic, anxious creation, to demand immediate proof from Caesar's world. To succumb is to fall back into the state of lack, needing to prove that you have. The awakened creator does not turn stones into bread. He assumes the feeling of having bread, and then bread appears naturally. The second temptation is to throw yourself in the temple to see if the angels will catch you. This is the temptation to test God, to seek for signs and wonders. The mind says, if this law is real, give me a dramatic sign. Let me win the lottery tomorrow. Let me have a miracle right now to prove it. This is the anxious search for signs we spoke of. It is an act of doubt, not faith. The one who has truly entered the Sabbath does not need to test God. He rests in the knowing that the law is forever faithful. The third temptation is to bow down and worship the kingdoms of the world to gain them. This is the most subtle temptation of all. It is the voice that says, this inner work is too slow, too uncertain. Let us go back to the old ways. Let us struggle and scheme and manipulate in the world of Caesar. It is the proven way to get what you want. This is the temptation to abandon your assumptions and return to the religion of struggle. Your time in solitude is where you will face these arguments from your own mind, and your victory comes not by arguing back, but by doing as the Master did, by answering every doubt with the authority of your own inner knowing, by refusing to put the law to the test, and by turning your back on the methods of the world you have left behind. What then is your work during this sacred period of isolation? It is the most paradoxical work of all. It is the work of non-doing. It is the work of gestation. Consider a woman who has conceived a child. What is her work? Does she struggle to form the child's hands and feet? Does she strive to make its heart beat? No. Her work is to be. Her work is to nourish herself, to protect the life within her, and to trust the intelligent, automatic, and unseen process that is unfolding perfectly. She carries the child. She does not construct it. You are now pregnant with your new reality. Your assumption is the child you have conceived. Your work in solitude is to simply carry it. You nourish it by returning to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You protect it by refusing to entertain the doubts and fears of the world. And you trust the divine, unseen process that is now shaping the circumstances of your life to match the child that is growing within you. But something else is happening in this solitude. You are not just waiting for something to arrive. You are becoming the person who is ready to receive it. The old you could not have sustained the blessing you have asked for. The old identity, with its fears and limiting beliefs, was not a vibrational match for your desire. This period of solitude is a divine chrysalis. The old caterpillar of your limited self is being dissolved. Its very substance is being rearranged to form the butterfly that is to come. This is why the transcript you have studied so rightly says, the real blessing was not the thing itself, but the transformation that took place within you. It is in the solitude that this transformation happens. You are shedding the identity of the person who is wanting, and you are growing into the identity of the person who is having. You are practicing in the safety of the greenhouse what it feels like to be the new man. So when the doors of the greenhouse finally open, you will not be a stranger to your own success. It will feel completely and utterly natural. This period of quiet consecration, this divine gestation, does not last forever. There comes a moment when the child is ready to be born, when the butterfly is ready to emerge from the chrysalis. You will feel a new stirring, a new impulse, not of lack, but of readiness, an urge to move, to act, to re-engage with the world from your new state of being. But often, just before the final breakthrough, just before the dawn, comes the darkest hour. Just as a woman experiences the most intense labor pain, just before childbirth, you may be faced with one final intense test. Having been strengthened in the wilderness, having overcome the inner temptations, you will now be called to prove your mastery in the face of the most convincing and intimidating evidence from Caesar's world. It may be a final dramatic challenge that seems to mock your entire journey. It is the fire that provides the final test for the refined gold. This is the subject of our next great herald. But know this, the period of solitude is your preparation for this final test. It has given you the strength, the faith, and the unshakable inner knowing to face this final shadow and not flinch. Therefore, if you find yourself in this sacred space of solitude, do not curse it. Do not see it as a delay or a punishment. Recognize it for the divine gift that it is. You are in the womb of God. You are in the greenhouse of the Spirit. You are being transformed. Be still. Trust the process. For you are not just waiting for a miracle. You are becoming one. And soon, you will be called forth to demonstrate the power and the glory of the new being you have become. You are now beginning to understand the divine language. You are learning to see the closing doors not as rejection, but as redirection, and the silence of solitude not as loneliness, but as a sacred consecration. This is the path of the mystic, the path of the conscious creator. If this journey of decoding your reality resonates with the truth that is awakening within you, I invite you to make this channel a touchstone for your transformation. Subscribe now and join a community dedicated to remembering this profound power. Let this be the place you return to whenever you need to be reminded of the divine heralds in your own life. We have journeyed together through the sacred chambers of the soul. We have felt the first subtle inner stirring of a new reality. We have witnessed the divine reconstruction as old doors close to clear our path. And we have been consecrated in the sacred space of solitude, strengthening our new assumption away from the doubting world. You have been in the greenhouse, in the silent womb, nurturing your divine conception. You emerge from this period of quiet gestation, feeling centered, renewed, and anchored in the reality of your wish fulfilled. You feel a new strength, a new certainty, but the wilderness has prepared you for a reason. The silence has been a training ground, for the journey is not yet complete. The newly forged sword must now be tempered. The purified gold must be tested. The fourth divine herald now arrives, not as a whisper, not as a closing door, not as a silence, but as a fire. We now enter the crucible. We face the refiner's fire, the trials and the test of faith. Just as you begin to walk in the confidence of your new state, the world of Caesar, the world of shadows, will mount its final, most convincing assault. It will present you with a trial so perfectly tailored to your deepest fears that it will seem to mock your faith and nullify all your inner worth. What are these trials? They are not random misfortunes. They are the final convulsive death throes of your old reality. They are the last desperate arguments of the world you are about to leave behind. Often, the trial appears as the very opposite of your desire. Just when you have faithfully assumed the feeling of wealth, you may receive an overwhelming bill or notice of a financial loss. Just when you have cultivated the inner knowing of perfect health, a frightening physical symptom may appear. Just as you rest in the feeling of being loved, an act of seeming rejection may confront you. This is the shadow world presenting its most powerful argument. It is shouting, "Look at me. I am reality." Your inner world is a fantasy. Its purpose is to shock you, to frighten you, to make you drop your assumption and react in fear, thereby recreating the very state you are trying to leave. Another form of this fire is the test of time, the delay that stretches on beyond all reasonable limits. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months. The world does not seem to move. The promise feels distant, and the initial inner stirring begins to fade from memory. This is a trial of endurance. It is designed to test the foundation of your faith. Is your assumption a fleeting mood, or is it a permanent dwelling place in consciousness? The trial of time will reveal the truth. And finally, the fire may come as the intensified voice of the collective, the well-meaning but doubting opinions of your loved ones who see your outer world and out of concern urge you to be realistic. Their logic, their common sense becomes a powerful temptation to abandon your unseen reality and return to the prison of the predictable. These trials are not obstacles sent to deter you. You must understand it. They are the final examination before your graduation into a new state of being. Why must you face this fire? If your imagination is the one and only reality, why must its objectification be preceded by such a dramatic test? The purpose is threefold, and it is an act of profound divine love. First, the fire is necessary to burn away the dross. Gold in its raw form is mixed with impurities. To become pure, it must be subjected to intense heat. The fire does not harm the gold. It only burns away that which is not gold. In the same way, within you, there may still be remnants of your old self, a hidden pocket of doubt, a subtle attachment to the past, a lingering fear of unworthiness. These are the dross. The fire of the trial is not meant to destroy you. It is meant to destroy what is not truly you. It burns away the final vestiges of the limited man, leaving only the pure, unshakable gold of your new assumed state. Second, the fire is necessary to solidify the new state. A belief that has not been tested is merely an opinion. It is fragile. A man who has only ever known fair weather does not truly know the strength of his ship. It is only by weathering a great storm that he comes to know, not just believe in, the integrity of his vessel. These trials force you to live from your assumption under pressure. They compel you to embody your new identity so fully that it becomes your natural reflexive state. After passing through the fire, your faith is no longer a concept you are practicing. It becomes an integral part of your very being. You move from I am assuming to the final, irrevocable state of I am. And third, the fire is necessary to expand your capacity to receive. The transcript you have studied rightly states that a great blessing cannot be placed into hands that are not ready to hold it. The trial is the process that strengthens your hand. It is like a great weight that, in the lifting, builds the very muscle required to hold it. The challenges you face are expanding your spiritual, emotional, and mental capacity. They are stretching your container so that when the new wine of your blessing is poured out, the vessel will not break. It will hold the abundance and hold it with ease. There is no greater story to illustrate this principle than the magnificent drama of the three men in the fiery furnace, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. See this story for what it is. your own psychological drama. The great King Nebuchadnezzar represents the tyranny of Caesar's world, the world of objective facts and appearances. The king erects a giant golden idol, and he issues a decree. Everyone must bow down and worship it. This golden idol is the overwhelming evidence of your senses. It is the frightening diagnosis, the final demand notice, the empty room. It is the fact of the world that demands your worship, your belief. But these three men, who represent the individual who is absolutely loyal to his inner reality, refuse their God. Their I am, their assumption, is the only reality they will serve. The king, the world of facts, is enraged. He threatens them with the fiery furnace. The fiery furnace is the ultimate trial. It is the circumstance that seems to promise certain destruction, the problem for which there is no logical solution. It is the moment when Caesar's world says, "If you do not bow to me, you will be annihilated." Now, listen to their response. For it is the perfect model for your own response in the midst of your trial. They say to the king, "Our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace. But if not, be it known to you, O king, that we will not serve your gods or worship the golden image that you have set up." This is the most powerful declaration of faith ever uttered. It is faith beyond reason. It is divine indifference. They believe in their God's power to deliver them, but their loyalty is not conditional on that deliverance. They are saying, even if our outer world is consumed by fire, we will remain faithful to our inner reality. We will not bow. This is the pinnacle of living from the end. They have so completely identified with their inner state of integrity that the outer threat has lost its power over them. And what happens? They are thrown into the fire, but they are not alone. The king looks in and sees not three men, but four. And the fourth, he says, is like the Son of God. That fourth man is the living presence of your own I am, your divine self, which walks with you through every fire. When you are so loyal to your assumption that you are willing to walk through the fire for it, you will find you are not consumed. You will find a divine presence with you, protecting you. And they emerge from the fire without even the smell of smoke upon them. They have been tested, and they have been proven. You too will be brought before your fiery furnace. The facts of your life will threaten to consume you. In that moment, your spiritual posture, your reaction, is everything. First, you must not flinch. Do not react with the old patterns of fear and panic. To do so is to bow to the golden idol. It is to confess that the outer world is more real than your inner assumption. Second, you must turn within. In the very moment the frightening news arrives, you must have the discipline to withdraw your attention from the terrifying appearance and place it firmly upon the feeling of your wish fulfilled. You must, in that instant, ignore the raging flame and feel the reality of the cool, life-giving water of your assumption. Third, you must learn to praise and give thanks in the midst of the fire. This is the highest form of faith. It is the act of Paul and Silas, who sang hymns in their prison cell at midnight, to give thanks for your deliverance while the chains are still on your wrists, is a declaration of victory that shakes the very foundations of the prison. To praise God, your own consciousness, for the solution while you are still in the midst of the problem is to assume the end so powerfully that the problem must dissolve. And finally, you must remain motionless. This does not mean physical inaction. It means an inner stillness. Do not be tempted into frantic, fearful human action. Do not start making desperate phone calls or running around trying to fix things in Caesar's world. Be still and know that your I am is God. This is the application of the Sabbath in the heart of the storm. You rest in your assumption, allowing the fire to burn away only that which is not of you, confident in the outcome. The trial does not last forever. The fire has a purpose, and once that purpose is achieved, it subsides. When you emerge from the crucible, having remained loyal to your unseen reality, you are not the same person who entered it. You are not burned. You are not scarred. You are purified. The dross of your old self is gone. The last remnants of doubt have been incinerated. Your faith is no longer a fragile belief you are trying to hold. It is a solid, unshakable knowing. You have been tested, and you have proven the law to yourself. You now know from your own experience that your consciousness is the only reality. You have met the fourth man in the fire. This new state of being, this purified and proven faith, is a powerful magnet. It is the state of consciousness that immediately precedes the final joyful signs of your breakthrough. Having passed the final examination, you are now ready for the graduation. Having endured the trial, you are now ready for the triumph. It is from this state of unshakable knowing that you will now begin to see the world speaking to you in the language of miracles. The synchronicities will become more frequent, more obvious. The whispers of the divine will become clear pronouncements. For you have proven yourself faithful, and the kingdom of heaven is now ready to open its gates to you. You have walked through the fire, and now you are ready to walk into your promised land. We have walked together through the crucible. We have faced the fiery furnace of the ultimate trial, where our faith was tested to its very core. We have learned to stand firm in our assumptions, refusing to bow to the golden idol of Caesar's world, even when the flames of circumstance raged around us. And having passed through that fire, you have emerged, not burned, but purified. Your faith is no longer a fragile opinion. It is an unshakable knowing. The dross of your old doubts has been consumed, and what remains is the pure, untarnished gold of a consciousness that knows its own power. With this new clarity of vision, with this purified perception, you begin to see the world as you have never seen it before. What once appeared as a dead mechanical universe, a random chance now awakens. It reveals itself to be a living, breathing, intelligent reality that is in constant communication with you. You are now attuned to a new frequency, and because of this, you begin to perceive the fifth divine herald. The battle is over, and the victory parade is about to begin. This herald comes not as a trial, but as a joyful confirmation, a wink from the universe. This is the arrival of divine synchronicity. What is a synchronicity? The unawakened man calls it coincidence, a meaningless accident in a chaotic world. He sees two unrelated events happening at the same time and marvels at the odds, but he sees no purpose, no intelligence behind it. But you, the awakening creator, must understand that there are no accidents in this universe. There are no coincidences. There is only the outpicturing of states of consciousness. A synchronicity is a meaningful coincidence, and the meaning is not inherent in the event itself. The meaning is supplied by you. It is a bridge between your inner world of assumption and the outer world of fact. And for a moment, you are allowed to see the blueprint of that bridge as it is being constructed. From a deeper perspective, a synchronicity is the visible evidence of the bridge of incidents beginning to form. As we have discussed, once your assumption is firmly impressed upon the subconscious, your deeper self begins to orchestrate all the events, people, and circumstances necessary to bring it into your physical reality. Synchronicity is when you, the conscious mind, catch a glimpse of this divine orchestration at work. It is the sound of the gears of creation turning in your favor. It is a reassuring nod from your I am, confirming that your command has been received and is being executed. It is the universe speaking to you in a language of symbols, telling you, I am at work. The process is unfolding. Trust me. This divine language is not spoken in a single dialect. It communicates through every available channel of your perception. Once your inner eye is open, you will begin to see it everywhere. It speaks to you through the spoken word. You will be sitting in a public place, holding a question in your heart, and a stranger in the seat next to you will have a conversation on their phone, and in their conversation will be the exact phrase, the precise answer that you needed to hear. You will turn on the radio, and a song will play, and its lyrics will feel as though they were written for you in that very moment. These are not accidents. It is your own consciousness bending the world of Caesar to deliver a message to itself. It speaks to you through the written word. You will pull a book from a shelf at random, and as it falls open, your eyes will land upon a single sentence that illuminates your entire situation. You will be driving down the road, and the words on a billboard will seem to shout a personal confirmation at you, a recurring headline, a phrase in an email. The world of letters becomes a living oracle. It speaks to you through numbers and symbols. You may begin to see recurring sequences of numbers: 1,111, 222, 777. The numbers themselves hold no power. Do not make an idol of them. See them for what they are. Your subconscious mind, your deeper self, is using a simple pattern, something that will stand out from the chaos of sensory data to get your conscious attention. It is like a gentle tap on the shoulder, saying, "Pay attention. You are in alignment. I am with you." It may also be a personal symbol, an animal, a feather, a specific image that has deep meaning for you, which begins to appear in the most unlikely of places. It speaks to you in dreams and visions. As the transcript you have studied mentions, you may wake in the middle of the night with a feeling of unshakable energy, as if something has been downloaded into your spirit. You may have a dream so vivid, so real, that it stirs your heart and gives you a profound sense of peace or a clear piece of guidance. This is your subconscious mind communicating directly with your conscious mind in its native language of imagery. This divine language is everywhere. It is in the flight of a bird, in the shape of a cloud, in the sudden inspired idea that flashes into your mind. The world has not changed. You have changed. And now you have the eyes to see and the ears to hear the conversation that has been happening all around you, all along. You may ask, were these signs always there? Why am I only seeing them now? The answer is yes. The law has always been in operation. But your attention, your awareness, was tuned to a different frequency. Your attention was focused exclusively on the facts of Caesar's world. You were looking for evidence of lack, of struggle, of difficulty, and so that is all the world could show you. Think of it this way. Have you ever learned a new, unusual word? And in the days that follow, you suddenly begin to see and hear that word everywhere. The word was always there. It was in the books you read, in the conversations around you. But because you had no awareness of it, it was invisible to you. Your mind filtered it out as irrelevant noise. The moment you became aware of it, your reality was retuned to perceive it. The same is true of synchronicity. Having passed through the refiner's fire, your faith is no longer a fragile hope. It is a focused state of knowing. Your attention is now tuned to the frequency of your fulfilled desire. You are now subconsciously looking for evidence of your new reality. And because the outer world is a mirror of the inner, it must begin to show you that evidence. You are not making these things happen in the old sense of the word. You are simply becoming aware of the divine orchestration that is always happening. Your purified faith has given you the eyes to see. You have learned the new word, the word of your assumption, and now you are beginning to see it written everywhere across the face of the world. As you begin to experience this joyful procession of signs, you must be wise. There is a subtle trap here for the undisciplined mind. It is the trap of beginning to worship the signs themselves rather than the source of the sign. You must remember this: a sign is a confirmation, not a cause. The synchronicity does not create your manifestation. It is a reflection that your inner creative act was successful and the manifestation is on its way. The sign is the smoke that tells you the fire is burning. Do not mistake the smoke for the fire. The fire is your own imagination, your I am. Therefore, you must avoid the frantic search for signs. The moment you wake up and think, I need to see a sign today to prove that it's working, you have fallen from grace. You have left the Sabbath. You have returned to a state of doubt. The search for a sign is an affirmation of its absence. The signs appear most frequently and most clearly when you are not looking for them, when you are simply resting in the confident knowing that your assumption is a fact. They come to you. You do not go to them. You must also understand that the meaning of a sign is deeply personal. It is a private conversation between you and your deeper self. Do not look for a universal dictionary of symbols. A butterfly may be a profound symbol of transformation for you, and a mere insect to another. The number sequence that thrills your heart may be meaningless to your neighbor. The universe speaks to you in the language of your own heart, using the symbols and ideas that you have imbued with meaning. Trust your own intuitive response to these signs. The purpose of a synchronicity is simple. It is a loving encouragement. It is a whisper from God, your own consciousness saying, well done, you have remained faithful. Keep resting. I am on my way. This phase of your journey, the arrival of synchronicities, is a time of great joy. The hardest part, the dark night of the soul, the fiery trial, is over. You have passed the test. This period is the victory parade before you officially arrive at the palace. It is the sound of the trumpets in the distance, announcing the arrival of the King, your fulfilled desire. This phase is meant to be enjoyed. It is designed to build your faith into an unshakable fortress. With each synchronicity, each meaningful coincidence, another stone is laid in the foundation of your knowing. The joy and wonder you feel upon witnessing these signs is a powerful creative force in itself, accelerating the final manifestation. Allow yourself to marvel at the intelligence, the intricacy, and the loving humor of your own deeper self. Watch in awe as it weaves the tapestry of your world, arranging a chance encounter here, a perfectly timed message there. You are moving from the Creator who works in the dark to the Creator who can now witness His own handiwork in the light. This joyful procession of signs, this series of divine winks and whispers, serves one final, ultimate purpose. Each synchronicity is a confirmation that dissolves a little more of your remaining unconscious doubt. And as these doubts dissolve, you are filled with an ever-deepening sense of confidence. This growing confidence, this joyful assurance, eventually blossoms into the ultimate sign, the destination of our entire journey. It leads you into the harbor of the peace that surpasses all understanding. For when the world speaks to you in a language of constant confirmation, there is nothing left to do but to rest, completely and totally in the absolute certainty that what you have assumed is not just coming, it is already here. We have journeyed together through the divine language of creation. We have learned to recognize the subtle inner stirring that heralds a new dawn. We have consecrated ourselves in the sacred space of solitude, and we have walked unafraid through the refiner's fire of our trials. Most recently, we have learned to read the joyful language of synchronicities, the winks and whispers from the universe, confirming that our assumption is taking form. But these signs, these messages, are not the destination. They are the heralds running ahead of the King, announcing his imminent arrival. They are the trumpets sounding in the distance. Now, we come to the arrival of the King himself. We come to the final, the ultimate, and the most unmistakable sign of all. It is a sign that is not seen or heard, but felt in the very core of your being. It is the arrival of the peace that surpasses all understanding. When this peace descends upon you, your journey of seeking is over. You have arrived. What is this peace? It is crucial that you do not mistake it for any worldly emotion you have known. It is not the fleeting emotion of happiness. Happiness is often a reaction to an external event, a piece of good news, a pleasant experience. It is a wave that rises and falls with the tides of Caesar's world. This peace is the deep, silent, untroubled ocean beneath all waves. It is a state of being that is completely independent of circumstances. The world can be in chaos. The storm may still rage outside, but within you there is an unshakable stillness. This peace is the absolute absence of desire. This will sound like a paradox to the unawakened mind, which believes desire is the engine of creation. But you cannot truly desire what you feel you already have. The frantic energy of wanting, the ache of longing, has completely vanished, not because you have given up on your desire, but because you have so fully become one with it in consciousness that there is no longer any sense of separation. The hunger is gone because you are now the feast. This peace is the end of all mental argument. The inner war between faith and doubt, between your assumption and the evidence of your senses, is over. It has not ended in a truce, but in a total victory for faith. The voice of reason, which once screamed its protest, is now silent. The memories of past failures, which once paraded before you, have lost their power. There is nothing left to argue about. The case is closed. The verdict has been reached in the high court of your own consciousness. And finally, this peace is the feeling of absolute inevitability. It is a calm, settled, and almost dispassionate knowing that the physical manifestation of your desire is now a mere formality. It is a shadow that must, by law, follow the substance which you have now become. There is no more anxiety about the when or the how. You are as unconcerned with the timing of your manifestation as you are with the timing of tomorrow's sunrise. You simply know that it is the law. This divine peace is the sign that the most profound of all mystical events has occurred within you, the unification of the Creator with His conception. You and your desire have become one. Before this state, you saw your desire as something separate from you. It was out there, something to be attained, acquired, or attracted. You were the subject, and your desire was the object. This is the illusion of separation. But as you persisted in your assumption, as you walked through the trials and remained loyal to your unseen reality, a fusion began to take place. Your consciousness began to permeate the state of the wish fulfilled, and the state began to permeate your consciousness. Now, in this final state of peace, the separation has dissolved entirely. There is no longer you and your wealth. There is only the consciousness of being wealthy. There is no longer you and your health. There is only the state of being healthy. There is no longer you and your beloved. There is only the all-encompassing feeling of being loved. It is like dissolving a grain of salt in a glass of water. The grain of salt, your desire, does not cease to exist. It simply loses its individual form and permeates the entire substance of the water, which is your consciousness. You can no longer point to it and say, there it is. It is everywhere. It has become your very nature. The transcript you have studied speaks of this perfectly. By the time it arrives, you have already become one with it in your mind. It was never outside of you. It was always within, waiting for you to recognize it as yours. This is the great secret. Manifestation is not about acquiring something. It is about becoming something. And this peace is the sign that you have become it. The great teacher told a parable that beautifully illustrates the value and the totality of this final state. He said, "The kingdom of heaven is like a merchant in search of fine pearls, who, on finding one pearl of great price, went and sold all that he had and bought it." This is a parable for your journey into this divine peace. The merchant is you, the seeker of truth, the one who is searching for the secret of creation. The goodly pearls you have been collecting are all the lesser states. the small securities and pleasures of Caesar's world, the approval of others, a stable but unfulfilling job, the comfort of your old familiar limitations. Then you discover the pearl of great price. What is this pearl? It is the one single, all-encompassing feeling of your wish fulfilled. It is the state of divine peace, the knowing that it is done. And what does the merchant do? He goes and sells all that he has to acquire it. This is a metaphor for the final, total surrender. To possess this pearl of peace, you must sell everything else. You must sell your doubts. You must sell your fears. You must sell your need for external validation. You must sell your attachment to how and when it will happen. You must sell your loyalty to the evidence of your senses. You must even sell your old identity, the story of the person you have been up until now. You willingly and joyfully give up everything that is not the feeling of your wish fulfilled in exchange for this one priceless treasure. And when you have made this exchange, when you possess this pearl, you have the kingdom of heaven. You have everything. This state of peace is not a sign. It is the sign. It is the treasure itself. When this peace becomes your dwelling place, you will notice a profound transformation has taken place within you. This is the true blessing you have been seeking all along. The outer thing is merely a bonus, a shadow of this glorious inner transfiguration. First, as the transcript confirms, your fears have faded. The anxieties that once consumed you, the worries that kept you awake at night, now seem distant and unreal, as if they belonged to another person in another lifetime. You look back at the person who was so troubled, and you feel a loving compassion for them, but you no longer identify with them. The weight you carried for so long is simply gone. In its place has come a divine authority. You no longer hope or wish. You know. Your inner dialogue changes. You no longer ask for permission from reality. You speak from a place of quiet certainty. This is not the loud arrogance of the ego, but the silent, unshakable authority of the I Am that knows its own creative power. You will also notice that your relationship with the outer world has changed. The opinions of others no longer move you. You do not need their approval or their belief. You are so secure in your own inner reality that the validation of the world becomes irrelevant. People will sense this shift in you. Some who are on a similar path will be drawn to your presence without knowing why. Others who are still firmly anchored in the world of doubt may resist or fall away. You will allow all of it to happen with a gentle detachment, for you are no longer a participant in their drama. You are the observer of a play you have written. This is the transformation. The real blessing was never the thing itself. It was always about becoming the person who was ready to hold it. And this peace is the certificate of your graduation. It is the proof that you have become that person. And so, you have arrived. You have passed through all the signs, all the heralds. You are now abiding in the final state, the peace that surpasses all understanding. You are in the eye of the hurricane. The world of Caesar may still be in the final, chaotic throes of its rearrangement around you, but you are perfectly, divinely still. There is nothing left to do. Do you hear me? There is nothing left to do. No more techniques, no more imaginal acts, no more struggle, no more waiting. Your work is finished. You are in the Sabbath, and now you simply watch. You live your life from this state of peaceful knowing, and then it will happen. It will happen at a moment you least expect it, when you are so at rest that you have forgotten you were ever looking for it, when you are so consumed with the inner feeling of peace that you have ceased to care about the outer manifestation. It will not come with a crash of thunder. It will flow into your world as naturally and as effortlessly as your own breath. It will feel completely normal, as if it has always been so. A door will open, a telephone will ring, a letter will arrive, An idea will strike, and suddenly you will look upon your world, and the thing you once desired and assumed is now a solid, objective fact. It did not come through force. It did not come through struggle. As your transcript states, it simply flowed to you. It was not a prize you won, but a harvest you allowed to ripen. And in that moment, you will understand the greatest mystery of all. You were never creating something new. You were never bringing something from a distance. You were simply removing the veils of your own disbelief until all that was left was the reality that had been yours. From the very beginning, this is the final sign. It is the end of the journey of seeking and the beginning of the life of seeing. It is the peace that is the promise, the feeling that is the fact, and the stillness that is the ultimate creative power. You have now been given the full sequence of the divine heralds. You have learned to read the signs. No longer will you walk in confusion, fearing the changes in your life. You will now see every event, whether it appears good or bad, as a purposeful step on your journey home to the fulfillment of your desire. The world is no longer a random series of events. It is a living, divine language, speaking to you in every moment. Your great work begins now. This is not the end of a lecture. It is the beginning of your conscious, awakened life. If you are ready to walk this path with clarity and faith, I invite you to become a permanent part of this fellowship of conscious creators. Subscribe to this channel. Join us as we continue to explore the infinite mysteries of the one true power, your own wonderful human imagination.